I'm a retired teacher and now I'm a farmer, full-time farmer. After retiring from my teaching position, I went back right into the village where I was born and married, and I've been involved in farming, growing maize, growing groundnuts, cassava, and tobacco, which is our main cash earner in Malawi. Malawi, especially where I come from, it's a patriarchal society where a man is taken to be the head of the household, which means all decisions basically are made by the man. So in most cases, as women were taken as second-class citizens. The man will decide what to grow, and once the crops have been grown, they will decide whether to sell or to keep. Once the proceeds are there, they will decide as to how to spend the money. So in 2006, we grassroots women sat down to say, no, we're tired of this. At least we have to move out of the poverty and hunger. So we came upon ourselves to form the Coalition of Women Farmers, which is a grassroots movement of rural women farmers who want to move away from subsistence farming to at least commercial farming, where they don't just grow for the sake of having enough to eat, but to have enough to eat and at the same time to have something to sell so that at least they can be economically empowered. There was resistance from the men because we're trying to challenge their powers. But with a lot of education, with a lot of lobbying, with a lot of advocacy, now they're beginning to understand. Because after all, it's the women who do most of the agricultural work. In fact, 80% of the agricultural work in Malawi is done by women. So at least they've been able to understand that when we're demanding for our rights to land, to be able to own land, to be able to access land, and to be able to control what we have produced, they do appreciate that in the final analysis, it will benefit not only the woman, but the whole family. Because if you are not educated, you are illiterate, men in most cases will take advantage of you. Let's take the cash crop, tobacco, which is the main earner of foreign exchange in Malawi. For you to be able to grow tobacco, you need to have a license. For you to be able to take the tobacco to the auction floors, you need to have permission for that. If you are illiterate, obviously it will be very difficult for you to know where to go and how to go and get this license. Which means men have always taken advantage of the women to say, no, you can't go to the bank, you can't go and have that permission for you to grow tobacco. So it's very important to be educated, because once you're educated, at least you can be able to go to the bank, you can be able to count the money to say, this is how much I've realized, this is what I need to spend, and this is what I can save for my family. If you were divorced in those earlier days before the advocacy, you would find that if your husband dies, you go back to your family where you originally came from. Your brothers will tell you there's no land for you. So it means you are stranded. You have lost your husband, you have lost the land, and it means you are really down now in that circle of poverty. But if you can access the land, obviously, you can be able to take care of yourself. And this has really helped the women. Now they know that they have access. They can demand land from the chiefs, because in Malawi, most of the land is customary land. And it's the traditional leaders who have the control over it, and mere households. So if these are convinced, obviously it's easy for the women now to make a good living and to move out of that poverty circle. This is just the beginning of the battle, because as women, they have been able to access the basic skills of literacy. They can just read, they can just count, but we need to move a step further. The reading and counting is done in the local language. But this has generated a lot of interest. They would like now to know a second language like English. And next, would also want to have the ICT and the internet. I think the prize will help because now we are beginning to be known, and with this award, obviously, we expect that more donors will be coming forward to assist our project, because right now we are relying only on one donor, and that's Action Aid International. There's a lot that we can do, and if we had more donors, definitely we can achieve more, because this project now is only focused in 4 districts in Malawi, yet we have 28 districts. Much remains to be done, but at least the women have said it, and they will not be prevented from forging ahead. They want to go forward. It's generating a lot of interest among women, but not only among women, even the men and the traditional leaders, and also people in higher authority. They're beginning to appreciate that the project is making a difference in the lives of rural people.